Good morning all. What is the last topic that we are doing? I think the basic structure, those things we may have to do, right? Akka Panchayats we did. Yeah, so then these three, as I told, 1, 2, 3. And then you have this state that we'll do. Okay, or else we can look at this question first. This is again not a repeated theme. So only 1 year they asked because of the Telangana context, but I think mostly you'll understand even in your normal class also we do this, try to look at the demand of the question once. Whatever they are saying till here is just the context. The real demand is from here. So the question is, can it be justified that more number of smaller states would bring effective governance at state level? In other words, even normal OGB class also I do this. Do you think smaller states or more number of states will lead to better governance is the demand of the question. Obviously answer is what? No doubt answer is yes. But the point is you cannot write only one-sided answer because there are a lot of challenges also in creating small states. So those all points you have to clarify it. Just put as a small subheading, creation of small states. Again, this question will get repeated only if there is a demand, means demand for a new state during that mains time. So as of now, it probably looks like not a repeated theme. But even in normal class I do, so just for your point's sake, so please note down, creation of small states. Creation of small states. So how do you have to start with? You cannot define what do you mean by small state, all those things. So then context. If you want to create small state, which article is responsible for that? Write about Article 3. Article 3 empowers the Parliament. Article 3 empowers the Parliament. Article 3 empowers the Parliament to make any changes in the already existing parts of India. So that basics you have to put. It empowers the Parliament to make any changes in the already existing parts of India. In the already existing parts of India. Now what are those changes? It includes A, first one includes, you recall, increase or decrease or alter, increase or decrease or alter the boundaries of the state. State or UT for that matter. Increase, or they use the word diminish there, or decrease or alter the boundaries of the state or UT. Of the state or UT. Fine. B, renaming state or UT. Renaming state or UT. Renaming a state or UT. Then C is what? Create a new state or UT. Create a new state or UT by dividing. Create a new state or UT by dividing or merging. By dividing or merging a state or UT or parts of it. By dividing or merging a state or UT or parts of it. Fine. So that is the basics that you have to put, because you can't define, as I told in introduction part. This is the context or the origin part, you can put it as a link. Now what you have to do? So post-independence, these are linking statements. Post-independence, states reorganization happened in 1956. Post-independence, states reorganization happened in 1956 based on Fazl Ali Commission based on Fazal Ali Commission and which one? 7th CA 1956. Based on Fazal Ali Commission and 7th Constitutional Amendment 1956. Again, this is the linking part, sir. Again, even after that, what has happened? Even after that, demand for smaller states has continuously, even after that, means even post 1956, demand for small states has continuously, demand for the smaller state has continuously been raised in many parts of India. Demand for small states has continuously been raised in many parts of India. In many parts of India. Understood? So that is the context. Now you have to get to the demand, which is, they are clearly telling you in the light of the bow. Even if you want that also, I think the first part and second part here is not linked, because the first part says state governments bifurcate into districts and talukas for better governance. Link it to the next one, what it says, more number of smaller state, effective governance. The subheading is what then? Arguments in favor of smaller states. Arguments in favor of small states. Arguments in favor of small states. Fine. Now you obvious very simple ones. First one, small states lead to, smaller states lead to better implementation of policies and programs. Small states lead to better implementation of the policies and programs. So largely remember, the link that you have to recall here is, see, wherever most of the points you have to link it to this. Governance angle you have to link. Yeah, there are so many other points also that you write it at the end. Because remember, whenever I keep telling, let's say for example, you are writing a subpart 1, let's say, and as I've already told, maximum 5 to 6 points. Recall all those things. Because beyond that, it doesn't add value. If you have more points, either you generate another dimension. Within this 5 to 6 points, as I told, let's say for example, you have to have basic argument as well as example, all those things I told you. Fine. Even beyond that, what you have to keep it in mind is, your most important point should be at the top. In other words, you have to prioritize your points. Because if you write your most important points as your 5th or 6th point, normally evaluator will not even check, may not even check 5th or 6th point, because by you looking at your 1st or 2nd or 3rd maximum, he will make an impression that, okay, do you know the topic or not? Sir, but I have written my best points in 5th and 6th, I have written the examples, all those things there. It may be overlooked, very high chance. Again, because that is how psychology of evaluator works. Unless you get a very serious evaluator who looks at every single point, that's different. But in general, you have to always bring your most important points at the top. That's how it works. Even if when you start evaluating also, you will do the same thing. Clear? Okay, so it will lead to better implementation of the policies and programs. A. B. Next one. Small states will lead to, small districts and taluks. So again, I am just linking to the keywords. Small states will lead to small districts and taluks. Talukas, tehsils. Small states will lead to small districts and talukas. Hence, programs can be customized. Customized means what? According to the demand. Hence, programs can be customized according to, programs can be customized according to the local needs and challenges. Local needs and challenges. Local needs and challenges. Example, division of UP into 4 states. Example, division of UP into 4 small states. Division of UP into 4 small states will lead to better administration, better governance, if you want the same word. Division of UP into 4 small states will lead to better governance. Fine, then next one, effective governance depends on, because you have to play in and around the word governance. Maybe at the end you can use some other 2-3 points. Effective governance depends on participation of people. Effective governance depends on participation of people in decision making. Effective governance depends on participation of people in decision making. Obviously, which will contribute better to it? Small states and districts will enhance this. Small states and districts will enhance this. Small states and districts will enhance this. And if you want, for example, states like Telangana, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh have performed better after their creation. States like Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Telangana have performed better after their creation. Means their HDI, everything has improved actually once they have been, after their creation. And then Ambedkar in the Constituent Assembly itself, Ambedkar in Constituent Assembly itself argued that Ambedkar in the Constituent Assembly itself had argued that a country like India requires around 50 states like US. Requires around 50 states like US. Fine, that is another one. Next, if you want other aspects, which is not directly linked to governance, but still you can generate creation of states based on identities. Creation of states based on identities. Creation of states based on identities has enhanced India's unity and integrity. Creation of states based on identities has enhanced India's unity and integrity. This is not directly linked to governance, that's why I am putting it at the end. First arguments, all you have to link it to governance. You're getting the point right? Because let's say, for example, if you write identity-based states as your first point, the point is valid, but what is the demand here? Smaller states and, look at the keyword, effective governance. Now then they'll take, okay, unity and integrity enhancing is correct. How are you linking it to governance then? So then the evaluator may feel that, okay, you're writing a point, but which is not linked to the demand. So then it will affect. And so that's why if you have additional points, bring it at the end. Important point which addresses the keywords of the question, bring it at the top. That's what is your prioritizing the points, which is very, this is all the small things which will take you from 100, 105 to 120 plus in GS2 or any for that matter. If it is GS1 or GS3 from 75, 82, 85, 90, 95. Because if you have observed last 2-3 years, GS2, GS4, 120 plus also chances are high. GS1, GS3, 80 itself is average, 70 to 80, 90 plus itself is very high. 100 plus, I think very rarely I have seen, maybe 1 or 2 I saw. So GS3, that to GS1, they have not even given 95 or 100. So it depends, you cannot determine that depends on UPSC. They'll use the scaling methods. So 2-3, first 3-4 years like 2013 to 16, 17, GS2 and GS4 was difficult. GS1 and 3 they used to give. GS3 they used to score economy, all those things. 130, 140s they used to give. Then from the last, I think almost 1920 to almost 4-5 years, I think, GS3 is less than 100. GS1 from the last 2 years less than 100. So that keeps varying. So see, ultimately it's a relative game. If average is 80, you have to get 90. If average is 100, you have to get 110 plus. So in mains, every subject, you have to get average plus 10. That means automatically you are in the top 50-100. If you are getting average exactly, interview call. But getting into the list becomes difficult. If you have observed the score, you will have a better idea by now. Okay, that is another, for that examples you write. Example, linguistic states in South India addressed problem of Dravida Nadu. Linguistic states in South India addressed. Linguistic states in South India address the problem of Dravida Nadu. Address the problem of Dravida Nadu. If you want other example, because I am giving you detailed one, in exam, obviously as I told, it's not so easy to recall everything. Ethnicity based states in Northeast means Nagas, Nagaland, Mizos, Mizoram, like that. Ethnicity based states in Northeast. Ethnicity based states in Northeast completely integrated them with India. Ethnicity based states in Northeast completely integrated them with India. Completely integrated them with India. Fine, that's another point. If you want another, this is political angle, again not directly linked to governance. Politically, dominance of few big states. Politically, the dominance of few big states in parliament will be reduced. Politically, dominance of few big states in parliament will be reduced. Simple example is what? Example, at present UP has 31 Rajya Sabha seats, which is more than all the Northeast states combined. UP has 31 Rajya Sabha seats, which is more than all Northeast states combined. Which is more than all the Northeast states combined. See, that's a huge difference. Now, these are all what? Arguments in favor of small states. Now, you can use, as I keep telling, either you can use a subheading for subpart, or what you can do? Write a linking sentence also. Here you can use linking sentence. However, smaller states will also create, or may also create. However, smaller states will also create many problems for governance. Smaller states will also create many problems for governance. But that keywords you have to underline: problems, governance. Many problems for governance. Like what? First one. First aspect, financial viability. Means, do they have that level of money, taxes, resources? Financial viability in terms of resources and taxes. Financial viability in terms of resources and taxes is a challenge for small states. In terms of resources and taxes is a challenge for small states. So, example, Uttarakhand, Jharkhand. Telangana is a bit different because they have Hyderabad. Uttarakhand and Jharkhand even today faces financial issues. Even today faces financial issues. And that is one. Two, building new infrastructure for small states. Building new infrastructure for small states. Building new infrastructure for small states will take huge resources and time. Building the new infrastructure for smaller states will take huge resources and time. Huge resources. Simple example is what? Example, Andhra Pradesh suffers to build a new capital. Andhra Pradesh is suffering to build a new capital, which continuously you might have seen recently also, it was in news again. Andhra Pradesh is suffering to build a new capital. Fine. Then next issue, what you can say is interstate coordination. Interstate coordination is difficult because of political and ideological compulsions, because different parties will be in power. Interstate coordination is difficult because of political and ideological compulsions. Because of political and ideological compulsions. Now, linked to governance, this will affect effective management of issues like, let's say, global warming, climate change, Naxalism, or COVID. This will affect effective governance or effective management of problems like global warming, climate change, terrorism, or COVID-like pandemics. Fine, that's another issue. Now, these are all largely related to governance aspects. Then, politically, what it can do? Politically, small states will create a domino effect. Means everybody else will start demanding. Politically, small states will create a domino effect. DOMINO will create a domino effect. Domino effect, which may affect unity and integrity. So everybody will start demanding then, which may affect unity and integrity. Then more states will increase, more states will increase interstate water and border disputes. More states will increase interstate water and border disputes. Interstate water and border disputes. Example, Krishna water should be subdivided between Telangana and Andhra. Example, Krishna river water should be subdivided between Telangana and Andhra. Subdivided between Telangana and Andhra. Fine, then way forward. First one, in 21st century, regional imbalances is the major factor for small states. In 21st century, so language is not the problem now. Regional imbalance is the major factor. Regional imbalance is the major factor for small states or for demand for small states. For the demand for small states. Hence, what should we promote? Hence, inclusive growth, sustainable development should be promoted. Hence, inclusive growth, sustainable development should be promoted. Inclusive growth and sustainable development should be promoted. Inclusive growth and sustainable development should be promoted. Fine. 1, 2. Or you can say broader word, local bodies. Local bodies should be empowered. Local bodies should be empowered for effective decentralization. Local bodies should be empowered for effective decentralization. For effective decentralization and enhancing people's participation. For effective decentralization and enhancing people's participation. Enhancing people's participation. Then, second, States Reorganization Commission should be established. So, first was Fazal Ali, now we need second. Second, States Reorganization Commission. Second, States Reorganization Commission should be established. Should be established to evolve new parameters. Should be established to evolve new parameters for reorganization of states. To evolve new parameters for the reorganization of states. Reorganization of states. Then even if you want another kind of a way forward kind of a one, you can say only genuine demands, which has persisted for long time. Means just because people demanded for 1 year, you cannot accept for new state. Only genuine demands which persisted for long time should be accepted. Only genuine demand which persisted for long time should be accepted. Right, that is a broader one, way forward. Now the conclusion one, just you have to repeat the keywords again as I keep telling in the question. Small states or smaller states, small states will contribute to effective governance. Smaller states will contribute to effective governance. That is no doubt, you have to agree to that. Will contribute to effective governance. But what is the check? However, there are various challenges associated with it. However, there are various challenges associated with it. Various challenges associated with it. Hence, multi-stakeholder discussion or consultation. Hence, multi-stakeholder consultation, consensus building, multi-stakeholder consultation, consensus building should be undertaken. Consensus building should be undertaken before creating small states. Before creating small states. Fine. And any cost, what they should not do? Such states should never hurt India's sovereignty, unity, integrity. Means it should be ensured that such states or such demands should not hurt India's sovereignty, unity, integrity. Right? Yeah, so this is the bigger one. Obviously, in real time, you cannot write all these factors, conclusion, all those things to this level, you cannot write for simple reason because we are taking time here and then we are dictating. There in real time, you have to write this answer if it's a 10 marker in 7 minutes. If it's a 15 marker, 10 minutes. Of course, it's not so easy, but just go through it once. So anything related to Union and Territories chapter, if they want to ask a question, there is no other question. The only question is this. Fine. So obviously, in addition, what you can do, like let's say, I mean, when you're writing examples, I'm telling Vidarbha issue, Saurashtra issue, Gorkhaland issue, Bodoland issue. If you want, write in margin. That all also you can use it as example. At present, Vidarbha, Saurashtra, Gorkhaland, Bodoland are genuine demands, especially Vidarbha and Saurashtra. At present, of course, UP also. At present, Vidarbha, Saurashtra, division of UP, Gorkhaland, Bodoland. So they are they're continuously demanding for a very long time. Gorkhaland, Bodoland. Right? So that one may be depending on the questions because you never know. All of a sudden, if Gorkhaland issue becomes serious, this question will come back. All of a sudden, if Vidarbha issue becomes serious or UP division becomes serious, this question will come back. So when will that happen? That you can't show. You cannot say that. Maybe next month also it can happen. It may not happen itself. So depending on the demand, depending on the current affairs angle, these topics will get more importance, more relevance. Clear? If in case any doubt on the structuring part, please ask. What is the constitutional morality? Okay, basic structure. Morality. Oh, correct. Yeah, so this whatever we are talking about is largely about what? Which one? Article 368, Amendment of Constitution, 3 questions, basic structure, constitutional morality, and then broader one, amending powers. Fine, any basics that you have to write, I think you'll be mostly knowing that I don't have to tell that basics, that Article 368, what kind of amendments do they use. Under 368, you have 2 types, remember, special majority and then special majority with ratification of so and so. And then, okay, maybe few cases if you want, you can write just some basics we'll write about heading Amendment of Constitution, which is very simple basics which you would have studied multiple times for prelims. For us, concern is how to write the answers. Amendment of Constitution, Article 368, Part 20. Remember, that was your statement, prelims. Article 368, Part 20. what is the statement, right? 368 says that Parliament may 368 says that Parliament may, in exercise of its constituent power. So Parliament is the keyword, constituent. Remember, as we keep telling, when they use the term constituent power, it means power to amend the Constitution. Parliament may, in exercise of its constituent power, amend any provision of the Constitution. Amend any provision of Constitution. Amend any provision of Constitution. How? Either by, see, this also was a statement to question, I think, not even statement, either by addition or variation or repeal. Parliament may, in exercise of its constituent power, amend any provision of the Constitution either by addition or variation or repeal according to the procedure established or procedure mentioned. According to the procedure mentioned. Right. So that is basic point of what do you mean by 368, how to introduce a bill, all those things. I think even if they ask, they may ask sometimes, as I told you, they may ask a basic question. So if they ask, write down the procedure, what is the procedure mentioned for introducing a constitution amendment bill, then I think you know that the bill can be introduced by whom? Either by a minister or a private member, either in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. There is no need of president's prior permission. It has to be passed by special majority, that is absolute and 2/3. So president has to mandatorily give the assent because of 24th Amendment 1970, sorry, 25th Amendment, 24th only, 24th Amendment 1971, president has to mandate. That is basics that I think I don't have to tell, you know that. Then the 368, all those things. What we have to remember again for this angle is cases. Just put a small subheading, is constitutional amendment law under Article 13? Is constitutional amendment a law under Article 13? So that part you never know. If they ask, that's the main angle. Is constitutional amendment a law under Article 13? Constitutional amendment a law under Article 13. First case is what? Shankari Prasad case. Shankari Prasad case. So what they said? It is not a law. Hence no judicial review. Constitutional amendment is not a law. It is not a law, hence no judicial review. Hence no judicial review. Shankari Prasad. Point 2, again, Sajjan Singh case, same, repeat. Sajjan Singh case, same judgment. Reiterated Shankari Prasad. Sajjan Singh case, reiterated. Means Supreme Court said the same thing again. Right, that is Shankar Singh. Then Golaknath, reverse. Golaknath case. It is a law. Constitutional amendment is a law. Hence, of course, what will apply? Judicial review. It is a law, hence judicial review. Then 24th Amendment 1971, reverse. 24th Amendment 1971, just reverse the point. Not a law under Article 13. 24th Amendment 1971, not a law under Article 13. Then Keshwananda Bharati. Keshwananda Bharati. First point, it is not a law. It agreed. Keshwananda Bharati case, it is not a law. It is not a law. However, if it violates an FR, if it violates a fundamental right, which is part of basic structure, more or less like your IR color dual test concept. However, if it violates a fundamental right, which is part of basic structure, then unconstitutional. Then it can be declared as unconstitutional. Fine, then Vaman Rao case, 81. Vaman Rao case, 81. Vaman Rao case, 1981. Basic structure test will only apply to those amendments passed after same date you write. Basic structure test will only apply to those amendments passed after 24th April 1973. Basic structure test will only apply to those amendments passed after 24th April 1973. Only those amendments passed after 24th April 1973. Fine. So that is, again, they have still not asked that kind of questions, but chances are there. So that's why I told you that. Rest all is very basics of prelims, that all you will be knowing. I will not touch those things. Now look at this question. Parliament's power to amend the Constitution is a limited power, cannot be enlarged into absolute power. Understood? Because limited power of the Parliament itself is basic structure, if you have observed. Okay, we will get into that. In the light of this statement, explain whether Parliament under 368 can destroy basic structure by expanding amending power. The question is about what? Do you think Parliament can make use of its Article 368 and destroy the basic structure itself? Is the question. Understood? Now, before getting into this question, you need some basics about what? What do you mean by basic structure? What are the components? So, in which case it came up? What are the pros and cons? Then we'll come to, can they amend the basic structure or not? Understood? Directly you can't write basic structure here. First, let's write about basic structure doctrine. Then we'll write the answer to this question. If you have written the question, it's fine. We can first write about basic structure, because that's any year you can expect a question on basic structure. Fine. First point is what? It is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. Doctrine of basic structure, nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. Like how we wrote for doctrine of essentiality, like what is this also? It is a judicial innovation. Nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. It's a judicial innovation. It is a judicial innovation. Fine. Then 3. How will you define it as? It includes, or it refers to the core components. It refers to the core components and values of the Constitution. It refers to the core components and values of Constitution which cannot be altered by Parliament. It refers to the core components and values of the Constitution which cannot be altered by Parliament. Which cannot be altered by the Parliament. But that is basic idea of defining it. Though Supreme Court has not defined it, then obviously case I don't have to tell. You wrote that, please write, evolved in Keshwananda Bharati or 13 judge Keshwananda Bharati case. Evolved in 13 judge bench of KB case. Evolved in 13 judge bench of Keshwananda Bharati case. Fine, then next one, components. Just write as a list major components. Components. First one, sovereign, democratic, republican nature of state. State or constitution? Sovereign, democratic, republican nature of Indian state. Sovereign, democratic, republican nature of Indian state. Of the Indian state. A. B. Parliamentary system. C. Secularism and federalism. S.R. Bommai case. Secularism and federalism. S.R. Bommai case. Secularism and federalism. S.R. Bommai case. Then judicial review. Judicial review, Quixote Holohan case. I mean, so many cases are there. Judicial review, Quixote Holohan case. Quixote Holohan case. Then rule of law, free and fair elections. Indira Gandhi versus Rajnarayan. Rule of law, free and fair elections. Indira Gandhi versus Rajnarayan. Indira Gandhi versus Rajnarayan. Then limited power of the parliament to amend. Minerva Mills. Even Keshavananda Bharati case itself. Limited power of the parliament to amend the constitution. Minerva Mills. Minerva Mills. In Minerva Mills, there was another point also, which is what? Balance between FR and DPSP. Same Minerva Mills case. Balance between FR and DPSP. Balance between FR and DPSP. Balance between FR and DPSP. And then, if you want, yesterday as I told, FR in like fundamental rights like 13, 14, 15, 19, 21, 32. Fundamental rights like 13, 14, 15, 19, 21, 32. Fine. And then few others are also there, but that is broadly fine because in prelims angle, welfare state is there. You have so many. That is the points. Now, first you write arguments in favor of basic structure, criticism. Then we'll come to this, where it's a more broader linking point. Significance of basic structure. Why do you think it is needed? Significance. Significance of basic structure. So, what are the most important points? First one, it prevents concentration of power. Significance of basic structure prevents concentration of power in any organ. Prevents concentration of power in any organ. Concentration of power in any organ. Fine. Then 2, upholds principle of SOP. Upholds principle of SOP. Upholds the principle of separation of power. 3, helps Supreme Court in performing its function as. Upholds separation of power, helps Supreme Court in performing its role as what? Guardian of Constitution. So you are responsible for that. Guardian of the Constitution. Then upholds principle of constitutional supremacy. Upholds the principle of all keywords, playing with the keyword, that's it. Upholds the principle of constitutional supremacy. Constitutional supremacy. Constitutional supremacy. Fine. Then next one. It is a evolving doctrine, means continuously it evolves. It is an evolving doctrine. It is an evolving doctrine to adjust to the. It is an evolving doctrine to adjust to the needs and demands of the times. Evolving doctrine to adjust to the needs and demands of the changing times. So, because they keep on adding the elements there, needs and demands of the evolving times or changing times. Then it is considered as, or Keshavananda Bharati case also you can say, it is considered as the most important doctrine and judgment in Indian history. Considered as the most important doctrine and judgment of the Indian history. The most important doctrine and judgment of Indian history. Of the Indian history. Then it is an inspiration for countries like Bangladesh, Malaysia, South Africa, Nepal. So from us they have taken this concept. It is an inspiration for countries like Bangladesh, Malaysia, South Africa, etc. Right. So these are all broadly the points in favor of. Now, criticisms. Obviously, that kind of criticisms, all these will overlap with the essential practice. All the first major criticism is what? It has no constitutional basis. Where is it mentioned in the Constitution? It has no constitutional basis. It has no constitutional basis. Right? Even if you want to extend that point, even in Constituent Assembly, there was no reference to it. Even in the Constituent Assembly, there was no reference to it. Even in Constituent Assembly, there was no reference to it. Fine. A. B. It has contributed to, it has led to judicial supremacy. So, judiciary is taking more powers. It has contributed to judicial supremacy and, if you want, overreach. Contributed to judicial supremacy and overreach. Then, in a democracy, people and thereby Parliament should take ultimate decisions and not judiciary. In a democracy, people, thereby Parliament should take ultimate decision and not judiciary. People, thereby Parliament should take ultimate decision and not judiciary. And not the judiciary. Fine. Then, it is subjective in nature. It is subjective in nature, thereby depends on the opinion of the judges. It is subjective in nature, thereby depends on the opinion of judges. Thereby depends on the opinion of judges. Depends on the opinion of judges. Okay, so that was broadly the criticism part. But obviously, as I said, you should always back that, clarify below. As said by Justice Chandrachud, CJ Chandrachud, as said by CJ Chandrachud, basic structure is North Star of Indian Constitution. As said by CJ Chandrachud, basic structure is the North Star of Indian Constitution. So, keywords. It is a North Star. Chandrachud and North Star is the keywords. Chandrachud, basic structure is the North Star of Indian Constitution. Despite various criticisms, the doctrine has saved Indian democracy forever. Despite various criticisms, the doctrine, basic structure doctrine has saved Indian democracy forever. It has saved the Indian democracy forever. Fine. So, those are broadly the points. Of course, there are a few other extra points also, but that's fine. So, that is in and around that you have to write this answer also. Now, if you look at that, look at those points and look at the demand here. So, you have to use that. Of course, points will overlap. Now, you should be able to answer. Can the Parliament, whether Parliament under 368 can destroy basic structure? Obviously, answer what you have to tell. No, Parliament do not have that power. Neither Constitution gives it, nor basic structure doctrine gives that power to you. Fine. Now, here, it's like for few people, it's like the demand of the question wise, it's very easy. How to write the point, sir? That's a challenge here. Please note down the question. If you want directly, you can start from whether Parliament, if you feel like it is a very lengthy question, whether Parliament under 368 can destroy basic structure. Of course, points will overlap. I'll tell, maybe broadly I'll talk about the structure. Body part will write more. Whether Parliament under 368 can destroy the basic structure. Fine. So, first point, they're actually talking about what? Article 368. So first in intro part, then what you can tell, like how we wrote about what do you mean by 368, write about basics of what do you mean by 368, write that, which is what? Article 368 empower the parliament, that angle you can write in 368. Understood? If you want to write that, though it gets repeated, at least because already we have mentioned the 368. That should have been in your intro part. Article 368 empowers parliament to amend. Article 368 empowers parliament to amend any provision of constitution either by addition or variation or repeal. 368 empowers the parliament to amend any provision of constitution either by addition or variation or repeal. Right? As a linking statement if you want, below that, till now constitution has been amended 106 times. Till now constitution has been amended 106 times and it is based on the doctrine of living tree. Till now constitution has been amended 106 times and it is based on the doctrine of living tree. And it is based on the doctrine of living tree. Now you can't directly jump to that, right? First again another linking sentence. Supreme Court in Keshwananda Bharati case 1973. Supreme Court in Keshwananda Bharati case 1973 introduced the doctrine of basic structure. Introduced the doctrine of basic structure which has limited the power of parliament to amend the constitution. Which has limited, so that linking part if you don't write and directly jump, so it looks like a kind of abrupt one. Which has limited the power of parliament to amend the constitution. Fine. So here till now, even if you managed it properly, evaluator will get an indication that what, okay, fine, you have understood the concept, demand of the question, you know the concept. More or less, the mind will be like, okay, minimum 40% you will get. You just have to manage the demands now. Fine. Now you have to come to, you can put a subheading or you can like a sentence, can parliament destroy basic structure? Even if you want, if it's a 15 marker, what you can do before this? What is basic structure? Basic, this one, components of basic structure. Manage, space management. If it is 15 marker, I am telling, and then just write 4, 5. There are so many, you can't write all of them. What is basic structure? You should tell the evaluator. If it's 15 marker. If it's a 10 marker question, you cannot do that because you still have to write 1, 2 subheadings. So may not be possible. So depending on the demand of the question, depending on the marks of the question, depending on the space availability, is it your category A or B question, you have to automatically play with the space. If it's you feel like, no sir, I have so many points here and it's a 10 marker, don't go to all these things. It's a 10 marker only, but you feel, by looking at the question itself, you will understand, right, okay sir, I don't have so many points. Manage the space, use this. 15 marker, mandatorily use this. Understood? So depending on, is it a 10 or 15, is it a category A or B, automatically you should generate the dimensions or address the point. That depends on your strength and weakness, because everybody, I can't say this question is A, B, it depends. You might be strong in that, you might be a little weak in that, so that you have to understand. Clear? Okay, so after that, now what is the question submitting then? Can parliament destroy basic structure? Can the parliament destroy basic structure? Fine. If you want to say it as yes kind of a one, what do you have to say? Clarify that below. First point is what? Basic structure has no constitutional, basic structure has no constitutional basis. Basic structure has no constitutional basis. Hence, it can be amended. hence it can be amended. We are telling how will you argue for that? Hence it can be amended because it has no constitutional basis. 2. Second one, it has contributed to whatever you wrote above that, same more or less same points will overlap. It has contributed to what? Judicial supremacy. It has contributed to judicial supremacy, thereby going against SOP, thereby violating SOP. Hence, its amendment is necessary. So, somewhere you need a balance for that doctrine itself. Hence, its amendment is necessary. Hence, its amendment is necessary. That's another angle. Third angle, in a democracy, parliament is in a democracy, parliament is the ultimate decision maker. Parliament is ultimate decision maker. Basic structure doctrine unnecessarily limits its powers. Basic structure doctrine unnecessarily limits its powers. Judiciary is a small group of unelected, non-representative people. It is a small group of unelected, non-representative people who are not directly accountable to the common man. Unelected, non-representative people who are not directly accountable to common man. Who are not directly accountable to the common man. Not directly accountable to common man. Fine. Then the doctrine is highly subjective. The doctrine is highly subjective, leading to judicial overreach. Doctrine is highly subjective, contributing to judicial overreach. Leading to judicial overreach. But this is, yes, why we need to amend or destroy the basic structure. Or you can also say, see, look at the in 368, what does it say? Even that point you can say. Article 368 itself empowers Parliament to amend any provision of Constitution. So, any provision is the key. Article 368 empowers Parliament to amend any provision, hence no limits on its powers. Article 368 empowers Parliament to amend any provision, hence no restrictions on its power. Empowers Parliament to amend any provision, hence no restriction on its. So, Constitution doesn't put any restriction, hence no restriction on its powers. So, these are all arguments that you can say, yes, Parliament can destroy the basic structure. But what is the counterpart? However, destroying basic structure, just you have to repeat the keywords of the question. However, destroying basic structure will affect, destroying the basic structure will affect the democratic constitutional fabric of the country. Will affect the democratic constitutional fabric of the country. Destroying basic structure will affect the democratic and constitutional fabric of the country. And so, how do you say that? Further, you have to argue. First one, basic structure, this doctrine, whatever you can say, the doctrine has prevented emergence of authoritarianism. The doctrine has prevented the emergence of authoritarianism. Prevented the emergence of authoritarianism. Emergence of authoritarianism. First. 2. Limited powers of Parliament. Limited powers of Parliament upholds constitutionalism. Remember, when you say constitutionalism means what? Limited power. Limited power of parliament upholds constitutionalism. Upholds constitutionalism. Then the doctrine helps Supreme Court to guarantee the fundamental rights. Doctrine helps the Supreme Court to guarantee the fundamental rights and uphold constitutional supremacy. And uphold constitutional supremacy. Fine. Then, as you wrote in the above parts, the same one. It is an inspiration to many developing countries. It is an inspiration. This all points you have already written. Inspiration to many developing countries. Then, if you want Chandrachud's statement, so let that get by hearted. Chandrachud calls it as what? North Star of Indian Constitution. In fact, Pranab Mukherjee used to call it as the moral compass of India, or moral compass of Indian Constitution. All those words you can use. Chandrachud calls it as the North Star of Indian Constitution. Former President Pranab Mukherjee calls it as what? Moral compass of Indian Constitution. Former President Pranab Mukherjee described it as moral compass. So, moral compass is the keyword. North Star is the keyword. Fine. Okay. So that is now obviously you have to again say, because they are asking you explain whether explicitly you have to tell the evaluator. Below you can write Parliament under 368. Parliament under 368 do not have the power to destroy basic structure. Because ultimately, what is basic structure? Everything judiciary only should determine. Parliament under 368 do not have the power to destroy basic structure. It does not have the power to destroy basic structure. Again, another keyword you repeat. What you can't do? Parliament cannot enlarge into. Parliament cannot enlarge itself into an absolute authority. Parliament cannot enlarge itself into an absolute authority. Cannot enlarge itself into an absolute authority. So, if you want another sentence, limited power and constitutionalism is the foundation of Indian democracy. Limited power and constitutionalism is the foundation of Indian democracy. Foundation of Indian democracy. See, so anything around basic structure, if they ask, you should be able to answer by now. What are the components, which case, who determines, is it favorable, not favorable, what all descriptions you have. Please go through it once, the entire basic structure related points. More or less same one. This is I think they forgot to mention the year 2022 question. Extension of basic structure. No major check. Clearly they are telling you explain constitutional morality, but only check is what? If you have seen in the last 2-3 years, this is at least 2 questions, sometimes 3 questions every year. What Supreme Court, UPSC will tell relevant case laws, relevant judicial decisions. So you have to explicitly mention in which cases Supreme Court referred to these aspects. Fine. So directly put that in constitutional morality. Constitutional morality. Fine. Directly write Ambedkar's definition. According to Ambedkar, it refers to adherence to the adherence means follow, abiding, adherence to the constitutional values and principles. Adherence to the constitutional values and principles by every individual and authority. By every individual and authority. It is necessary for harmonious relationship between the governing and the governed. It is necessary for harmonious relationship between the governing means the people who rule, PMs, presidents, CMs, and the governed means us, common man. Harmonious relationship between the governing and the governed. Fine. Next. It is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. It is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. Like same basic structure point. Nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. Next, its components include. So what are largely considered as constitutional morality? Components include. First one, I mean just as a list again, values like equality, liberty, fraternity, justice. Values like equality, liberty, fraternity, justice. Then, of course, secularism, dignity of an individual. Then, unity, integrity of the country. It's actually related to basic structure. Unity, integrity of the country, etc. There are still so many. Unity, integrity of the country, and etc. Right, that is basic idea of what is the definition, what are the major components. And so now, obviously, advantage is same, more or less same points. Whatever you wrote more or less for basic structure, favor of, against, more or less same points will remain. There is no extra points. Just for your clarification right there, arguments in favor and against is same as that of basic. So just replace the word basic structure by morality. Arguments in favor and against is same as that of basic structure. It is same as that of basic structure. Right? But what is the additional point here? They are asking you, look at it, clearly they are telling you, with the help of relevant judicial decisions, that cases you write, Supreme Court cases. There are multiple Supreme Court cases. Fine. First one, which is what? Shabrimala case, All India Young Lawyers Association case. Shabrimala case. Supreme Court said that constitutional morality will prevail. Supreme Court said that constitutional morality will prevail over customary, traditional morality. Constitutional morality will prevail over customary and traditional morality. In fact, that year, I think 2017-18, it became a prelims question, or maybe the essay question also. Same statement. Constitutional morality will prevail over traditional and customary morality. More or less same statement. Navteet Singh Johar case. In place of traditional, customary, write it as social. Navteet Singh Johar case. Constitutional morality prevails over social morality. Prevails over social morality. Union of India. Arvind Kejriwal case. NCT Delhi versus Union of India. NCT Delhi versus Union of India. Irrespective of the constitutional provisions, every authority should abide by. Means in that context, they told both Lieutenant Governor and CM. Irrespective of the constitutional provisions, every authority should abide by same constitutional morality. Every authority should abide by the constitutional morality. Then Puttaswamy case, there was also a reference to it. Puttaswamy case. Supreme Court should check. Supreme Court said that judiciary should check. Puttaswamy case, Supreme Court said that judiciary should check arbitrary powers. Supreme Court should check the arbitrary powers to uphold constitutional morality. Supreme Court said that the judiciary should check the arbitrary powers of other organs to uphold constitutional morality. To uphold constitutional morality. Fine. Like that, few others are also there, but that is fine. That's what is your relevant judicial decisions. Even in one of the Rameshwar Singh case also they are told, Krishnamurthy case also they are told, I think ordinance, Krishna Kumar was the state of Bihar also there was a reference, but 4-5 maximum cases you remember, that is the points. Okay, that's your constitutional morality, direct one. As I told, the arguments in favor and against, more or less the same. Again, look at this, in and around the same point. This was 20, this is a very old question, but same in place of basic structure, they repeat. There is nothing, see on this and this question compared to that, there is no major change, only change is the wordings. Supreme Court keeps a check on the arbitrary power of the Parliament in amending the Constitution. So the question is what then? How do they keep a check on arbitrary powers? Arbitrary means, understand, right? Misuse of the discretionary power is called as arbitrary power. You tell me how Supreme Court keeps a check on the arbitrary power in amending the Constitution. What all concepts do they use? First, obviously, is basic structure. 2 is what? Of course, okay, constitutional morality angle, judicial review, Article 13 angles, anything they try to do, rule of law concept they use, separation of power concept they use, anything goes against federalism, all these unconstitutional angles. So that means it is upholding its own concept of what? That Supreme Court is the guarantor of fundamental rights and guardian of Constitution. Thereby they will make sure that they don't go beyond or they don't try to use arbitrary powers. Now for that again criticisms will what? So that Supreme Court is putting unnecessary restrictions, judicial overreach it is clearing, so it is using the concept of basic structure, morality which has no basis in the Constitution itself, all those criticisms, and sometimes they may misuse the power for the origin of, actually where you have written basic structure criticism, please go there, that example you should have used, where you have written criticism of basic structure, like you would have written that it has been criticized for so and so reasons. Actually one of the point we missed, which is what? The Supreme Court has used the doctrine for its own benefit. Supreme Court has used the doctrine for its own benefit. Example, what is the landmark case? NJSC. Supreme Court has used the doctrine for its own benefit. It has used the doctrine for its own benefit. Example, in 4th Judge's case, 99th Amendment and NJSC Act declared unconstitutional. Example, in 4th Judge's case, 2015, 99th Amendment and NJSC Act declared unconstitutional. Fine. 99th Amendment and NJSC Act declared unconstitutional. So that's a very good point, example kind of a one you could have used. Yeah, in and around that only the same question they are asking. So even if that's this year also, they cannot go beyond that. So they have to use the same points. Clear? This we have written. Separation of power, fine. This will come back to the other points. Comparison. Okay. Before this, what we'll do is You can't make full screen in this? Huh? Okay. Zoom madake. Okay, we'll go into the same thing. Where's that exit full screen option? Hmm? Yeah, so based on what kind of questions has UPSC asked, I think this itself is visible. We can still do with this. So if in case they want to touch, they have not touched this kind of topics till now, but you never know. The question is about what? You look at the judgment, question, you will understand. Remember, as we, maybe in normal classes, I don't know to what extent we'll talk about it. Roe versus Wade was a landmark judgment by US Supreme Court in 1973, the year Keshwananda Bharati judgment was given in India. Roe versus Wade judgment in US. And what did the Supreme Court say there? That right to abortion is a fundamental right. Where we are talking? US, they had told it's a fundamental right, 1973. I think 2023, exactly 50 years later, in US, the same Supreme Court said that it is not a fundamental right. And so last year also I expected this question. That's why I just retained the same question. Look at the question now, you'll understand. In the context of reversal of Roe versus Wade. So reversal means what now? It is no longer a fundamental right of abortion in US. By the US Supreme Court, if they link it to India, write a note on various, what is the legal, the question is what? Look at this. Legal provisions related to abortions. Legal means what? In what laws? Remember, as I keep telling, Medical Termination of Pregnancy Acts. That's a major one. So what is the legal provisions related to abortion in India? This is first subpart 1. 2. Second subpart is what? Arguments related to, various arguments related to right to abortion as a part of women's reproductive rights. That means automatically you have 2 subparts. One is what? Arguments in favor, arguments against. Automatically what you can do as 4 subpart? Can you suggest some kind of measures where you can handle this better? So that is the question on right to abortion. That kind, it's a kind of controversial topic also. UPSC has still not touched something like that, but because it is under discussion, and remember, at least every 2-3 months you will have one or other Supreme Court cases on abortion. You might have seen last month, I think in March or April also there was a case wherein I think somewhere the fetus was 50 weeks or something old. So Supreme Court allowed that for to be aborted. So however, because one or other way it is under discussion, I just made this question. So put the broader heading, right to abortion. Fine, as I told, we'll once for all write the points, or else it will just become another, as I yesterday have clarified that, right to abortion. In and around the topics, if you have, automatically you can manage. First, what you write? If you want that Roe versus Wade, because anywhere, even in essay, you can reuse that points. Even in ethics, Roe versus Wade, it's a landmark case. Right to abortion. First, what you have to clarify? In Roe versus Wade case, 1973. Roe versus Wade case, 1973. What did Supreme Court say? The Supreme Court in the sense, quotas. Supreme Court of US declared right to abortion as a fundamental right. In Roe versus Wade case 1973, Supreme Court of US declared right to abortion as a fundamental right. Declared right to abortion as a fundamental right. Fine. However, what they did in 2023, the judgment was reversed. See, like exactly 50 years later. So it's a full cycle then. However, in 2023, the judgment was reversed. That's the what you can say. That's the context. Right? So whatever. So that's what they're telling. Now, for the subheading, legal provisions related to abortion in India. So, law-wise, legal provisions related to abortion in India. Legal provisions related to abortion in India. First, Section 312 IPC criminalizes. Section 312 IPC criminalizes. Of course, in BNS the numbers will change, that we'll understand the details later. Section 312 of IPC criminalizes any voluntary miscarriage of pregnancy. Criminalizes any voluntary miscarriage of pregnancy. So if you are doing on your own, then that's a crime. You have to take the permission of doctors and all those things, then you have to do it. Any voluntary miscarriage of pregnancy. Understood? If you want, write that point is what? Except when it is to save women's life. Except when it is to save women's life. Two, Landmark Act, MTP, Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 2020. Originally 1971, recent amendment 2021, exactly copy those three statements. It's visible, right, for those even at the end? No? Consilva? Full screen madaka. I'll call them. Full screen ಮಾಡಿ zoom ಮಾಡು ಆಗಲ್ವಾ zoom ಮಾಡಿ ಈಗ ಆಗಲ್ವಾ ಓಕೆ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಕ್ಸಿಟ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಇತ್ತು ಬಿಡು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡು ಇಲ್ಲ ಹಾಂ ಹಂಗನೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಬಿಡು ಹಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು ಬಟ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು I think this is more than enough. Copy those 3 points. MTP Act 2021. Actually, under social justice topic, MTP Act itself may become a question, but again, UPSC has not touched all those points. One doctor up to 20 weeks, 2 doctors 20 to 24 weeks, and then rape survivors, victims of incest, minors, mentally ill women, abortion allowed till 24 weeks. Even if you have seen for unmarried women also, they have allowed abortion for the first time under MTP Act. All those are there. That we'll discuss MTP Act in detail when we discuss it in social justice. Done, right? Bega, quick. At least in the first session today, if we complete the entire historical underpinnings, evolution, amendments topic, maybe evening you can start with legislature. Again, a very important topic. Done? It's better, I keep telling so that in a flow you will keep writing. Or else you have to wait then. That's why now arguments in favor of abortion. Arguments in favor. First one, obviously what? It is part of women's reproductive rights. Right? Arguments in favor. Part of women's reproductive rights and right to choice under Article 21. Part of women's reproductive rights and right to choice under Article 21. Right to choice under Article 21. If you want, they itself in bracket case Puttaswamy case. Or in fact, you can make another point and say that what? It is part of right to privacy also. That's fine. But whatever, whenever you have these issues, whenever you write right to what is reproductive rights is that everything, make sure that mandatorily which case you have to write there. Puttaswamy case, mandatory you have to write there. Fine. Next, Suchita Srivastav case. Suchita Srivastav. Suchita Srivastav case. Reproductive autonomy is part of right to life and liberty. Suchita Srivastav case, reproductive autonomy is part of right to life and liberty. That means again 21. Right to life and liberty. Suchita Srivastav case. Then India is a signatory to CEDAW. Recall yesterday also I told you that elimination of discrimination against women. India is a signatory to CEDAW, ICCPR, ICESCR, which recognizes reproductive rights of women. Signatory to CEDAW, ICCPR, ICESCR, economic, social, cultural rights, which recognizes reproductive rights of women. Which recognizes reproductive rights of women. Fine. Then, even in multiple religions, abortion is allowed in case of safety of the mother's life. In case of safety of mother's life. Then independent thought versus Union of India. Independent thought versus Union of India. Supreme Court said that abortion is or reproductive rights is part of human right. Independent thought versus Union of India, Supreme Court said that abortion is part of a human right of a girl, whether married or unmarried. Abortion is or reproductive rights is part of human rights of the girl, of the female, whether married or unmarried. Fine, those are all arguments you can say in favor of. Now comes your another subheading, arguments against. Arguments against. Arguments against. First one, life begins at conception. Means when the fetus starts developing itself, life will begin. Life begins at conception. Hence, abortion amounts to murder. Life begins at conception. Hence, abortion amounts to murder. Hence, abortion amounts to murder. Fine. 2. It may lead to female feticides. It may lead to female feticides because of the misuse of PC, PNDT. Remember, Preconception, Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act. It may lead to female feticides because of the misuse of PCPNDT Act, thereby leading to skewed sex ratio. because of the misuse of PCPNDT Act, thereby leading to skewed, means in favor of boys, same, you know all of that, skewed sex ratio. Skewed sex ratio. Then unsafe abortions. Unsafe abortion is a factor of, is a cause for, unsafe abortion is a cause for 20% of the maternal deaths. Unsafe abortion is the reason for 20% of the maternal deaths. This is what MOH, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, MOHFW, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Right, then shortage of skilled personnel means what you call as gynecologists. Shortage of skilled personnel at rural level, village level. Shortage of skilled personnel at rural level will increase unsafe abortions. That is obvious. It will increase the unsafe abortions. Right? At present, it is a statutory right. At present, it is a statutory right. At present, it is a statutory right. Hence, no need to make it a fundamental right. So, let there be restrictions. At present, it is a statutory right. Hence, no need to make it a fundamental right. Hence, there is no need to make it a fundamental right. Right? So, that is broadly the points. If you want, copy this as a broader conclusion. Especially these kind of topics are very favorable for UPSC in interviews. They'll keep on asking these things. Mains, chances are less. I'm not saying this will repeat. Chances are less. But if in case they do, or you never know, maybe rather than asking it as abortion, they may ask as reproductive rights broadly. Maybe that also is a bodily autonomy word they may use. Bodily autonomy also, if the word comes, again you have to link back to not just merely this, more the aspect including reproductive rights. Bodily autonomy of women. Now next, again because the last year it was in news, we all know that. So last mains time I framed this. So now you can change the question a little bit also. Rather than writing in the context of same-sex marriage issue being discussed, the judgment itself is out. Supreme versus Union of India, what Supreme Court said, same-sex marriage cannot be allowed. That's what Supreme Court has told, 2-3 judgment. But subheading is what then? Same-sex marriage in India. Same, what are the judgments is that everything, what I did is, I have made it as a broader question. What are the judgments related to transgender rights, everything I have made it, we'll write that. Same-sex marriage case in India, or same-sex marriage issue in India. Directly put the subheading, which is what? Suprio versus Union of India. Suprio, S-U-P-R-I-O-O, P-R-I-Y-O, Union of India. Or just write Suprio case, 2023. Suprio versus Union of India, 2020. What did Supreme Court say? Supreme Court said that Supreme Court said that same-sex marriage cannot be allowed under Special Marriage Act 1954. Supreme Court said that same-sex marriage cannot be allowed under Special Marriage Act 1954. Cannot be allowed under Special Marriage Act 1954. Right, again clarify, right to marry is not a fundamental right for same-sex couples. For heterosexual couples, it is still a fundamental right. What do you write? Right to marry is not a fundamental right for same-sex couples. It is not a fundamental right for same-sex couples. Then what they also added, legislature, in other words parliament, legislature is the ultimate authority. Legislature is the ultimate authority to decide the provisions of civil union of same-sex couples. Civil union means what? Shall we allow them to live together? Will they get the benefits of taxes, insurance, this, that, everything? Legislature is the ultimate authority to decide the provisions of civil union. That's a keyword you have to underline. Put it in single inverted. To decide the provisions of civil union between same-sex couples. So you know the broadly judgment, right? Because remember, when you allow that as civil union, at least civil union is what? For the law, legal angle, you are allowing that so that they live together. So then what is the difference? It is ultimately the same. It is not considered as marriage. Then what will happen? Let's say, for example, have you seen? Let's say, for example, you take an insurance policy. What do you have to mention there? Spouse, nominee. In case of your death, the money should go to whom? Mostly they write what? Spouse's name. So husband will write the wife name, wife will write the spouse, husband name, or sometimes you write the children name, all those things. Now in case of same-sex couples, if you are not legally recognizing them as couples, how can they mention their spouse name? You cannot mention it. Hence, civil union means what? It is not considered as marriage. It's like a legally you are allowed it. So then what you can do, if civil union is allowed, if same-sex couple are living together, then what you can do? You can mention that other person's name as a nominee in your insurance policy, in your taxes benefits, in so many things. Adoption, can you allow them to adopt the child? As of now, it is not allowed. Maybe if you allow them as civil union, maybe you may have to allow adoption. I mean, we don't know. We just have to, these are all feature changes. That's why Supreme Court said, we will not interfere into it. Let who determine it? Let the parliament, legislature determine it under if they want special marriage act, or let them make a separate act also. That's their wish. As of now, point is, it is not allowed. Hence, in that context, if you discuss the issue, how is the points? Before that, what you do, because it's largely related to transgender, I made a broader question. I think you may yesterday also have mentioned it, but just a broader issue. Supreme Court judgments on transgender rights. Supreme Court judgments on transgender rights. Supreme Court judgment on transgender rights. First is, as we wrote yesterday, NALSA case, National Legal Service Authority case, NALSA. Right, what Supreme Court says in NALSA? Transgender is third gender, or should be considered as third gender. Transgenders should be considered as third gender and eligible for the benefits of OBC. Transgenders should be considered as third gender and eligible for the benefits of OBC. Eligible for the benefits of OBC. 1. 2. NAS Foundation case. NAZ, NAS Foundation case. Delhi High Court decriminalized Section 3 or homosexuality. NAS Foundation case, Delhi High Court decriminalized homosexuality. Remember 377, decriminalized homosexuality. That will come to that, that will write. That is not the same case. Amele, next came. So this was Delhi High Court decriminalized homosexuality. Now, Suresh Kumar Kaushal case. Suresh Kumar Kaushal case. Supreme Court recriminalized homosexuality. So they reversed it. Suresh Kumar Kaushal case, Supreme Court recriminalized homosexuality. Supreme Court recriminalized homosexuality. Fine. Then comes your Navtej Singh Johar case. That we have already mentioned. What again Supreme Court did? Decriminalized. Navtej Singh Johar case. Supreme Court decriminalized homosexuality. So these are the 4 judgments which are very important with respect to transgender rights. Right, that's what you have mentioned here. Nalsa, Naz, Suresh Kumar Kaushal, and then about Navtej. Now, subheading, arguments against same-sex marriage. Arguments against same-sex marriage. This was very famous question in 2023-2022 interviews. Arguments against same-sex marriage. First one, Special Marriage Act is to overcome the limitations of religious personal law. Special, because same-sex marriage has to be allowed only under Special Marriage Act. Remember, inter-religious marriage, Special Marriage Act. Inter-country related, Special Marriage. This also probably might have been allowed under special marriage. That's what we are clearing. Special Marriage Act is to overcome limitations of religious personal law. Overcome the limitations of religious personal law. And what not to? Not to create a new institution of marriage. It is to overcome the limitations of religious personal law. Not to create new institution of marriage. Not to create a new institution of marriage. Point 2. Right to marry is not absolute, subjected to legal restrictions. Right to marry is not absolute, subjected to legal restrictions, state laws. Then same-sex marriage will create legal problems related to same-sex marriage will create legal problems related to taxes, inheritance, property rights. Problems related to taxes, inheritance rights, property, whatever, etc. Then what it will also create? Problems related to child adoption. Problems related to the adoption of children, which may also lead to social stigma. Means, how will the society accept adopted children of the same-sex couples? See, these are all new phenomena. Imagine the impact it may have on those kind of children, which may lead to social stigmas. Then, which the normal basic argument is what? Same-sex marriage goes against the order of nature. Same-sex marriage goes against the order of nature. Against the order of nature. So then automatically, then what is the point? Favor. Arguments in favor. Arguments in favor. First one, violates dignified life. Violates dignified life for same-sex couples. Article 21. Violates dignified life for same-sex couples. Same-sex couples. Then it is part of, same-sex marriage is part of, it is part of gender identity. It is part of gender identity and right to privacy. It is part of the gender identity and right to privacy. Then the keyword, what you can write, bouquet of rights. Bouquet means group of rights. Bouquet of rights will be denied to same-sex couples. Means if you don't allow it, you're denying entire rights. As I told, taxes, everything you're denying. Bouquet of rights will be denied to same-sex couples, which is what? Same. Denied to same-sex couples related to taxes, inheritance, adoption, etc. Then globally, same-sex marriage is gradually recognized, legalized. Same-sex marriage is gradually recognized. Fine? Okay, so then what? So another point, what you can add there. India is a signatory to. India is a signatory to multiple UN conventions like ICCPR, ESCR, all those things. Multiple UN conventions which recognizes transgender rights. Which recognizes transgender rights. Fine, then way forward. Then how should we handle it then? Way forward. First one, awareness campaigns. Awareness campaigns to promote acceptance of, to promote the acceptance of LGBTQ community. To promote the acceptance of LGBTQ community, like, remember they keep doing Pride Month, Pride parades. To promote or increase the acceptance of the LGBT community, like Pride Month, Pride parade. Fine, then cultural sensitivities. Cultural sensitivities should be taken into consideration. Cultural sensitivities should be taken into consideration while taking a decision on same-sex marriage, because you can't just say, just keep going ahead while taking a decision on same-sex marriage. Okay, so that is broadly the point. But again, this is not so easy to take a stand. As of now, it looks like you stick to what? As of now, you stick to Supreme Court stand. What? Let who take the decision? Let the legislature take the ultimate decision, because there are so many aspects to be kept in mind. It will create a lot of legal angles, a lot of cultural problems also. That's why, in fact, there were so many other arguments if you have heard. National Commission for Protection of Child Rights argued that if you promote same-sex marriage, that may affect the childhood of the children itself. Because whatever so many arguments they argued, it is their argument. They quoted some UNESCO studies, this, that, and everything. They said that a child has to be brought based on the combination of the values of a mother and father. So if it is a same-sex couple who is bringing up a child, so then the socialization process itself will get affected. All these arguments that used, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Whatever, ultimately Supreme Court said, let's not make it legal as of now. If in case, let who decide? Legislature decide. So maybe in future the same Supreme Court may say yes, because normally if you have seen, that is how Supreme Court functions. See, in Suresh Kumar Kaushal case, the same Supreme Court recriminalized homosexuality. Just 3-4 years later, they told decriminalize. So maybe they would have already put the review petition. In other, by 3-4 years later, they may review it again. You never know. Anything can happen. You cannot fix it. As of now, stick to what Supreme Court has said. Don't try to go against Supreme Court, because you have to defend very strongly then. Clear? If you want conclusion as a broader one, as said by Supreme Court, right to marry is not an absolute right. Especially for whom? Same-sex couples. As said by Supreme Court, right to marry is not an absolute right. It is not an absolute right. Then any decision on same-sex marriage or civil union any decision on same-sex marriage or civil union, same-sex marriage or civil union, who has to take? Should be taken by the legislature. Any decision on same-sex marriage or civil union should be taken by the legislature. But maybe as a check, what you can tell, however, the dignified life of LGBTQ community should not be violated, should not be compromised. However, the dignified life of LGBTQ couples should not be compromised. Should not be compromised. Fine. So that is a broader idea that you have to keep it in mind. Yes, if your other arguments will be there, if you search, obviously you will get those things. And look at it, any doubts or any arguments you want to add, please add. This is, I don't think it's an important question now, but just go through how you can have the issues related to it. Not last year, 2022, I think. Based on that, if you keep that question relevant in and around, because remember, as of now, what all issues are being discussed on reservation? Should we revisit Indira Sani case? That issue is pending. Subcategorization of SC and ST, Supreme Court was looking into the case in March. Subcategorization of OBC, so Supreme, by Justice Rohini Commission recall, that issue is also pending. Understood? So all those angles are pending. So anytime you can have again, it's not so easy an issue because Supreme Court, UPSC will not touch that reservation issue, not because unnecessary issues again and again. That's why they'll just leave it. But you never know, if you get points at least, you should be able to. That's why I made a broader question saying, in this context, enlist the constitutional provisions related to reservations. What all provisions you have. Then write a note on Supreme Court's opinion on reservation through various judgments. So broadly about content on reservation, if you want, what all are there, how can you come with that. Women reservation, that is different, that we'll do it later. Women reservation in Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, that is legislature, 106th amendment. This is broadly reservation angles. I think I can sum up once for all. So many things are there, just put a broader heading. Rather than this, I'll make it much more broader, put the heading, reservation issue in India. Reservation issue. Yeah, first maybe that definition is better, you can use that. That definition you can use. Special provisions provided by the government to uplift vulnerable sections. Special provisions provided by the government to uplift vulnerable sections. Special provisions provided by government to uplift vulnerable section. Now the keywords, what all you have to use? It is a form of affirmative action. Just copy that. It is a form of affirmative action to correct historical injustice. Keywords: affirmative action, historical injustice. It is a form of affirmative action to correct historical injustice. To correct historical injustice. And what is it? It is a type of, or it is a form of positive discrimination, or it is based, whatever words you can use. It is a type of positive discrimination based on equity principle. Positive discrimination based on equity principle. Based on the equity principle. Fine. EWS 11. I'll make it as a broader question on reservation. Fine. Directly put the subheading as what there? Constitutional provisions related to reservation. In Constitution, where all you find reservation issue? Constitutional provisions related to reservation. Fine. First, Article 15, Clause 4, Clause 5 actually. Article 15, Clause 5. Article 15, Clause 5. This is for what? Reservations for SC/BC, socially, educationally backward class. Reservations for SC/BC, SC, ST. Where? In professional colleges, engineering, medicine and other degrees. Reservations for socially, educationally backward class, SC, ST in which one? Professional colleges, professional courses, whatever. Then 15 clause 6, EWS, same EWS, 10% EWS reservation in professional courses. 15 clause 6, 10% reservation for EWS in professional courses. 103rd Amendment 2019. 103rd Amendment 2019. Then 16 clause 4. Yes, CA will work. CAA will work. 16 clause 4. 16 clause 4. What is the point they tell? State can reserve or state can provide reservations. State can provide reservations for any backward sections. State can provide reservations for any backward sections not adequately represented in the public employments, government services. For any backward sections not adequately represented in the services, state services. Then 16 clause 4A. 16 clause 4A, reservation in promotion. 4A should be in 4 capital A bracket. Reservation in promotion for SC, ST. So it is only for SC and ST. SC and ST. Understood? Then 16 clause 4B. 16 clause 4B. 4 capital B in bracket, which is what? Carry forward rule in case of reservations. Means you cannot fill the unfilled vacancies by other categories. You have to just carry it forward. Carry forward rule with respect to reservations. That is 16 clause 4B. Then 330, 332. 330, 332. Reservation for SC and ST in Lok Sabha and Assembly. Article 330, 332. Reservations for SC, ST in Lok Sabha and Assembly. Reservations for SC and ST in Lok Sabha and Assembly. 330, 332. Understood? If you want reservation itself angle, then what you can write? 330, as we wrote yesterday, 330 capital A, 332 capital A. Reservation for women. 330 capital A, 332 capital A. Reservations for women in same Lok Sabha Assembly. Lok Sabha Assembly. 243D, 243T. Reservation for SC, ST in Panchayats and municipalities. 243D, 243T. Reservation for SC, ST in Panchayats and municipalities. Panchayats and municipalities. Then 335. 335. 335. Reservations for SC and STs should be promoted. 335. This was your last year one of the prelim statement. Reservations for SC and ST should be promoted without affecting efficiency of the administration, efficiency and merit. Without affecting efficiency of administration. affecting the efficiency of administration. Then, so these are all what? Constitutional provisions. Now, Supreme Court cases related to reservation. Supreme Court cases related to reservation. So anything related to reservation, at once you should have all those things. Supreme Court cases related to reservation. There are so many. First, let the landmark case, which is what? Indira Sani case, 1992. Indira Sani case, SAWHNEY. Indira Sani case, 1992. So what was the question here? What was the question? Mandal Commission. Mandal Commission had recommended 27% reservation for OBC, second official backward classes commission. Mandal Commission had recommended 27% reservation for OBC. This was questioned in Supreme Court, Indira Sani case. It had recommended 27% reservation for OBC, which was questioned in Supreme Court. Now, what did Supreme Court say? First one, OBC reservation upheld. OBC reservation upheld. 2, total reservation but should not cross 50% except in extraordinary circumstance. Total reservation should not cross 50% except in extraordinary circumstance. Except in extraordinary circumstance. Except in extraordinary circumstance. B. 3. Creamy layer within OBC excluded from reservation. Creamy layer within OBC excluded from reservation. Excluded from reservation. D. EWS reservation not allowed. So the same Supreme Court changed it later, 20 or 30 years later. At that time they said EWS reservation is not allowed. EWS reservation not allowed. Then reservation only in appointment, that means not in promotion. Reservation only in appointment, not in promotion. Reservation only in appointment, not in promotion. Only in the appointment, not in promotion. Then permanent statutory body should be established. Permanent statutory body should be established to provide OBC reservations, or to enforce, implement OBC reservation. That's what is NCBC. Permanent statutory body to be established to enforce, implement OBC reservation. Fine, there's a first landmark case related to this reservation, Indira Sani case. Of course, in so many cases they talked about it, that's a different issue. Next is what? M. Nagaraj case. M. Nagaraj case. Reservation in promotion upheld. Reservation in promotion upheld. Reservation in promotion upheld. But it should be based on 3 factors. Again, triple test. Reservation in promotion upheld, but it should be based on 3 criteria. It should be based on 3 criteria. First one, it should be based on 3 criteria. A, the community should be socially, educationally backward. Community should be socially, educationally backward. Community should be socially, educationally backward. Fine. A. B, quantifiable data. Quantifiable data to prove inadequate representation of the community in the top position. Quantifiable data to prove inadequate representation of the community. Inadequate representation of the community at the top level, top positions. inadequate representation of the community at the top level. Then C, which is what obviously, merit and efficiency of administration should not be compromised. Merit and efficiency of the administration. Merit and efficiency of administration should not be compromised. So these are the triple test again. Triple test of case Puttaswamy is different. Recall what is triple test of Puttaswamy? Necessity, legality, proportionality. This is triple test of M. Nagaraj case, which is backwardness, data, 3, don't compromise efficiency. Clear? Then next is Jarnail Singh case. Jarnail Singh, Jarnail. Jarnail Singh case. Consequential seniority in promotions upheld. Consequential seniority. What do you mean by consequential seniority? Is a detailed one. No, in mains it doesn't, you don't have to explain. Consequential seniority in the promotions upheld. So it's in favor of SC and ST. The opposite of those, that is, if you have heard, there is something called as catch-up rule. That all is not there. For prelims it is necessary. For mains you don't have to discuss. Nobody will ask you like that. Just remember that point. Then E.V. Chinnaya versus State of Andhra Pradesh. E.V. Chinnaya versus State of Andhra Pradesh. Chinnaya versus State of Andhra Pradesh. Subcategorization of SC and ST not allowed. Subcategorization of SC and ST not allowed. Subcategorization of SC and ST not allowed. It is a homogeneous community. Means once you are SC, you are SC. Within that, who are rich or poor is not there, is what Supreme Court had told. Subcategorization of SC and ST not allowed. It is a homogeneous community. It is a homogeneous community. This is what is being reviewed now. Whatever you wrote now, that subcategorization is not allowed is questioned again in Supreme Court. They have already heard it, heard the case. I think judgment is pending. You will get that whenever the judgment comes. Fine. Then another point just to mention, at the state level, subcategorization of OBC is already done. Means most of the states. At the state level, OBCs are already subcategorized. Subcategorization of OBC already done. Means not in all the states, most of the states. Subcategorization of OBC is already done. But at which level not done? At the national level, this Government of India level, at national level, it is still not done. National level, it is still not done. So which commission has recommended it? Justice Rohini Commission has recommended it. Justice Rohini Commission has, not Rohini Sindhuri, Justice Rohini Commission. Justice Rohini Commission has recommended it. Justice Rohini Commission has recommended it. Okay, so that is a point. So many other prelims points are there, that's not necessary for us. Now that point, if you remember, for reservation, most of it is done. Okay, EWS, which case upheld? Janhit Abhiyan case. EWS reservation in 103rd Amendment upheld. Janhit Abhiyan case. EWS reservation in 103rd Amendment 2019 upheld. Right. Now if you look at it, most of it we have covered. M. Nagaraj case, they have told that in detail, 3 criteria. Then Jarnail Singh, consequential seniority. Okay, so then so many other arguments are there, that's all. They will not ask you in prelims, don't worry, they will not ask you also. That if you remember for reservation, again these are new questions, because last year there was a issue related to due process, so many things. Based on that we have framed all these things. Mostly you will be able to answer, just look at the demand. What is constitutionalism? Write a note on various provisions of the Constitution which will support this principle. discuss challenges related to it. Now try to tell me, what do you mean by constitutionalism? It is a political system which is based on the concept principle of limited powers. Understood? Written constitution is the best way to ensure constitutionalism. You can call it as constitutional state, constitutional government or anything. Even the basics also we study this. But here we are discussing it as a mains topic. So basic point, constitutionalism means limited powers for any individual or authority. Nobody should have ultimate powers. It is actually based on the concept of separation of power, checks and balances. That is all related to it. Written constitution is the best way to ensure constitutionalism, but not necessary. Remember, as we keep telling in basics also, that for example, simple example, take UK. Written constitution is not there, but what is there? Constitutionalism is there because there is no concentration of power. Germany under Hitler, written constitution was there. What was not there? Constitutionalism not there, because obviously Hitler means what? Dictator, concentration of power. Understood? So written constitution is necessary, not sufficient to ensure constitutionalism, constitutional state. Now that is basic one. What is constitutionalism? For that, what they have told, what all provisions of constitution support this? Most of it I have already told you. Article 50, separation of power. Fine. Parliamentary system. What is the core principle of parliamentary system? Collective responsibility. In other words, whatever executive does, it is answerable to whom? Legislature. Question hour, 0 hour, no confidence motion, adjournment motions. Judicial review, whatever you do, judiciary will check. Article 13, 32, whatever, 226, 131, imagine 136, 142, whatever you does, they will check. Elections, frequent election itself is check on limited power. Freedom of press, they will check. The simple checks and balances, principle of checks and balances. So whatever you does, every other organ, as James Madison says, that what? Every organ should be checked by another organ. All of that is the constitutional provisions which will support it. But obviously what happens, in reality, so many challenges are there. In other words, in reality, power is misused also. Understood? For example, as the former Chief Justice used to tell Ramana, all of that, even though rule of law exists in theory, rule by law exists in reality. Rule by law means what? Even though you have a law, it is in favor of the rich and powerful. That is rule by law. Law is implemented in such a way that it is favoring the rich. Remember, as we keep telling the famous statement, show me the man, I will tell you the law. So you are how powerful are you? Depending on that, they will apply the law to you. So unfortunately, those are all what challenges. There are still so many. For example, what freedom of press itself might be compromised. Fine, so many cases are pending. So where is the checks in reality? Fine, police, imagine the misuse of, or the way politicization of civil service, and there is a huge nexus between all of them. So nobody is checking nobody here. Those are all challenges that you can write. So, but ultimately you have to always tell, in India, constitutionalism is very, very strong. So this is extension of your basic structure, constitutional matter. Remember that same kind of question, if they shift, they can ask like this. They have still not touched, but when they can ask constitutional morality, why can't they ask constitutionalism? So on that pattern, we have framed this question. Understood? Now extension of this, I'll discuss both and then we'll write together because you have already written too much. Extension of that same topic is, where is that? Okay, they have used a lot of Supreme Court case also, we'll write. Is this. When they can ask what is basic structure, constitutional morality, why can't they ask what is principles of natural justice? When they can ask a prelims question on it, why can't they ask a mains question? What's the idea? That's it. So there are chances. What is principle of natural justice and doctrine of proportionality? What is the significance? So principle of natural justice is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution, but due process of law, remember as the last year's Flimsky also says, due process of law at the core means principle of natural justice. Now what are those principles of natural justice? You have three core components. One is what? Right to be heard, means you cannot be, or nobody can give a punishment against you before your side of the story is heard. Right to be heard. Understood? That's why remember, if you can't, as we keep telling, if you can't hire a lawyer, who will give you the lawyer? Government will give you the lawyer. Free legal aid, NALSA, everything is the same. If you can't hire it, government will give it. Very, just a classic example to keep that in mind. Kasab, who was involved in the 26/11 attacks. Who gave the lawyer to him? Government of India gave the lawyer to him. Imagine, he has attacked, came and done so whatever that he had done. Government of India gave lawyer. Reason? Right to be heard. You cannot punish them without hearing their side of the story. That is right to be heard. Two is what? You cannot be judge of your own case. If the case is related to you, whatever the issue is, not necessarily case means you don't have to take it as a criminal case. Anything, if the issue is related to you, you cannot decide by yourself. Third party should decide. Simple examples are what? Let's say for example, speaker's removal. If speaker's removal you are discussing, who presides the house? Speaker can't preside. Where should the speaker go? Go sit there. Who will come and sit here? Deputy speaker will come and sit here. Why? Natural justice. You cannot decide your own case. Judges themselves will recuse. Remember, recusal of judges. If the case is related to them, what will the judges do? Keep themselves out. For example, remember as we keep telling, Justice H.R. Khanna example, he was looking into a case which was related to a company in which his daughter and son-in-law or whatever, they were shareholders and employees. Now what he did? Recuse. Don't listen that case, because if you give a favorable judgment, what will the common man think? Obviously, because it was in your daughter was working there or your son was working there, obviously you will give a judgment in favor. That's why keep yourself out. Recusal of the judges. Like that, so many are there. They are all related to their third natural justice is what then? Right to fair trial. Right to fair trial means, remember as we keep telling, that every accused is considered as innocent until proven guilty. That is what? Right to fair trial. Until everything happens, you cannot consider them as guilty until conviction happens. And then proportionality. Proportional means what? Whatever you try to do, it can be, let's say, what is a punishment that you give for a crime? Is based on what? Every crime will not get the same punishment, right? The punishment is proportional to the crime that you have committed. That's also proportionality. The penalties, any penalty for that matter. Same way, that another angle of proportionality was what? To what extent are you compromising privacy? Is proportional to what is the goal that you are trying to achieve. For example, last year they used it, Bihar caste census survey case. If you have seen Bihar caste census, there were two issues related to Bihar caste census. One is, census is a subject mentioned in union list. In other words, who should do census? Government of India. How are you doing census? State government, state list. How are you doing census? Okay, if it's in concurrent list, okay, agreed, you can do it. If it is state list, agreed. If the subject is in union list, how are you conducting a census then? That was the first legal question on Bihar caste census. Second legal question is, why are you collecting the caste related data of the common man? So that means what? Are you not compromising the privacy of the common man? What if in future you discriminate based on his caste? All these questions came up. Now for that, what Patna High Court told, first point for that, why are you conducting census? For that, Patna High Court told that whatever Bihar is trying to do the caste census, don't take it as a census. There is a subject called as economic and social planning mentioned in concurrent list. So it is related to planning, not census. That's the first legal point. Second legal point they told, then why are you collecting caste related personal data? For that, Patna High Court told, government had argued, they told that what? That the caste census, caste data is taken to determine which caste is relatively better off, developed, which caste is relatively less better off, so that government can come up with policies and programs for the benefit of lower sections. Hence, the data is collected for what purpose? For the welfare purpose. Hence, Patna High Court told there is a proportionality. The data collected and the goal is linked. The data is collected for what purpose according to Patna High Court? To determine who is better off, who is less better off, so that we will work for the less better off. That means what? Welfare angle. So that and this they linked. Then Patna High Court told Bihar caste census is valid. That's proportionality. Now how well is it used in administration and justice delivery is a link they use. I have already told you my examples, everything itself I told you. Now these two are all what? They are not exactly based on current affairs. It's like testing your conceptual clarity. Because if this looks like a basic question, writing a mains answer in real time is not so easy, because you have to generate the points. There's a check. So the moment you look at it, and if you feel Sir, I know what is natural justice, but I don't know how to write a mains answer or a 10-marker answer. Then what do you have to do? Don't directly go to the point. In and around the topic you should write. Answer means what? Write about due process of law, then come to natural justice, explain those natural justice principles, all those things you have to do. Depending on, remember always, is it category A or B question? That is the key question that you should ask, always say. A, automatically structure change. B, structure change. A means what? Point format. B, short para format. A, write, directly address the demand of the question. B, don't directly address, because if you directly start addressing, you will finish off your answer in half page, 1 page. Write around the topic, in and around. Understood? Yeah, so like those two theory based questions, we'll write the answers, because if in case they ask, you should be able to address it. Then I think this one largely as we have written yesterday, look at the demand of the question. Just again playing with the words, whatever we have written yesterday, remember adjectives related to the, attached to the word republic, and extra if you add the same. The preamble is a powerful expression of the collective will and aspiration of the people, provides a moral philosophical compass for the governance. Elaborate. In other words, they are cleanly asking you, write a note on the significance of preamble. What all provisions you have, how is it important? Whenever you write that, linkingly, just you have to, what is your task? You just have to make sure that the words like collective will, words like moral, philosophical framework or compass, these words you have to repeat. That's the check that you have. If you can do that, that's more than enough. Got it? How do you write? For this, I don't think you have to write the content, go through it. Other two will write it. This one, just go through the content, you will get a fair idea what I am trying to say. Preamble is a reflection of nation's identity, democratic ethos and foundation principle, as we wrote yesterday. Palkewala has called it as what? Identity card of the Constitution, and K.M. Munshi has described it as political horoscope of the Constitution. Basics. Whatever, they for that purpose they have put the one. Then how does it reflect? Whatever you know, basics. Preamble contains a noble vision of Constituent Assembly, guiding light for governance, embodies the basic philosophy and fundamental values, which is what? Equality, morality, justice, liberty, all those things. These are all playing with the words, that's it. Unity, and again, for your addition, what you can do, when you write these points, for just as a link, when you write all these points, the evaluator, if they may feel that, okay, you have just played with English. So for that, what you have to do? Wherever possible, let's say when you write so and so, that in preamble, the key values of the Constitution is, then what you do? Equality, how is it reflected in Constitution? When you write equality, what you have to write? It is mentioned in, or it is reflected in Article 14 to 18 of Constitution. When you say liberty, it is reflected in freedom of speech and expression, Article 19 to 22 of Constitution. Or secular word, Article 25 to 28 of Constitution, Article 29 to 30 of Constitution. So like that, with democracy, when you write universal adult franchise, 325, 326, free and fair election. So like that, you link to the constitutional provisions. When you say justice, government of our overall, in general, India is what? Welfare state. Multiple welfare programs are implemented. Example, Narega, this, that, and everything. Fraternity, single citizenship examples. Fundamental duties examples. So like that, when you write the keywords in preamble, what you do? Link it to the constitutional provisions or some other acts. Then what happens? Then your answer becomes more, it's a combination of theory and application. If you only write this, then what the evaluator may think, okay, you have only mentioned theory. Where is the example? Where is the substantiation? Then use that. You understood the points, right? If you want just clarify, you can just write in the margin what I am trying to say. For every preamble keyword, link it to the Constitution. So what is the keyword? Let's say you write equality. How do you link? Equality means Article 14 to 18. Or we had written yesterday preamble question, there also you can go and link, that's your wish. Equality when you say Article 14 to 18 of Constitution. Right? Then liberty you write. Which one you can link? Article 19 to 22. Right to freedom. Liberty 1922. 19 to 22. Fine. Then if you write, let's say, justice, DPSP. When you write justice, DPSP. DPSP and welfare programs. So many welfare programs you have, I don't even have to explain. DPSP welfare programs. Let's say you write fraternity. What is the link? Single citizenship, fundamental duties. When you mention fraternity, single citizenship, fundamental duties. Fine. When you mention republic, obviously what? President is indirectly elected by common man. No hereditary public position. Republic. President indirectly elected. President, then secular. Obviously, what is it? Freedom of religion, rights of minorities. 25 to 28, 29 to 30. Secular, Article 25 to 28, 29 to 30. Fine. If you want addition there, SR Bommai case, secularism is what? Basic structure. SR Bommai case, secularism is basic structure. Secularism is basic structure. Then democracy, 325, 326, universal adult franchise, free and fair elections. Democracy, 325, 326, universal adult franchise, free and fair elections. Of course, you can also write Independent Election Commission, 324. Independent Election Commission, 324. Then socialist, I don't even have to tell, DPSP and welfare state. Socialism, DPSP and welfare state. Reservations, so many. DPSP, welfare state, reservations. Because there is a high chance they may ask like that. Then sovereign, sovereignty, sovereign means what? Popular sovereignty principle. People are the ultimate decision makers. Sovereignty, popular sovereignty principle. Popular sovereignty principle. Fine. So that is the keywords how we have to play. This all is, I think, fine. This is all just significance of preamble. They have just mentioned it. That it's a key to the minds of the makers of constitution. All those things, you know, we'll not get into that again and again. This also more or less like your last year question. If you can recall that Article 21 question, more or less same, but I have made it a little more broad. Look at the demand of the question. Indian Constitution is a living document. So I'll show you how, how is it linked. Yesterday we have seen that if in case you have forgotten, this kind of question, 2023, last year. Constitution of India is a living document with capabilities of enormous dynamism. It's a constitution made for a progressive society. For that link, we have written answer for it. Expanding horizons of right to life and liberty, they have checked. Same pattern if they try to repeat this question. Indian Constitution is a living document that has undergone amendments to address the evolving needs of the society and the nation. It reflects commitment to democratic principles, social justice, individual rights and freedoms evaluate. Pattern is same, but there they have linked it to Article 21. Here I have made it more broader as democratic principles, social justice. So many, whatever amendments you write, and then you have to link. One, you have to write the amendments also. So remember, whenever you write this living document angle, smartly what you have to do? You have written already points, but I am just again cautioning. When you say living document, one is you have to write visible amendments. 73rd, 74th, 106th plus means what? Supreme Court's interpretations, both you need to add. If you add only visible, that means your answer will become incomplete. Both the angles you need to bring, interpretations of Supreme Court also. That's what they would have done if you have seen here. Whatever, that all you know. Then doctrine of living tree. Just to add basics what they have done, how to amend constitution, simple procedure, that NCERT angle they have taken. And then they have told what are the major amendments, because look at the question what it says. That it has undergone amendments to address evolving needs of the society and nation. For that they have told, they would have mentioned some 5-6 important amendments. Yesterday I have already mentioned it. First to 7th to 9th to 73rd, 74th, something like that, 52nd, 101st, GST. They have, and then they have come to Supreme Court, invisible amendments. But what is the key what you have to ensure here? Wherever possible, you tell me what is the key what you have to do? Wherever possible. So what is the links that we have to use? How do you link it to? That's the key. In fact, smart those who want to who are little more better in answer writing, what they do? Democratic principle separate. So rights and freedom separate. Social justice separate. You can also do that. Social justice means what? Reservation angle, all those things you add there. Democratic principles mean what? Anything related to elections or let's say free independent election, all those things you add there. Rights and freedom, Supreme Court, I don't have to tell how many judgments you have. You just add there. So that also you can do, because if you do that, then chances of, because the evaluator will feel that you have addressed all the points. That's what they have done with your cases. I don't think I have to go through again, because I have already mentioned all these things. Whatever you look at it, LGBTQ, this, that, everything, they have mentioned some too many cases. Everything, whatever they have got, they have mentioned. You don't have to do everything. Maybe again, as I told, if it's a 15 marker and you have written and then you completed 2 sides, you still have half a side, because if you don't write 2.5 or 2, 3, 4, you can't expect 7 out of 15. Then what you do? Generate a dimension and write it as what? That even today there are still challenges. There are either what you can tell, lot of significant amendments are yet to be done, or what you can tell, even if the amendment is done, in reality things are not true. Write that dimension. Like for example, transgender rights. Where is any major amendments related to transgender rights in Constitution? You don't have anything. Anything related to artificial intelligence, global warming, climate change, where do you have anything specific in Constitution? Even after implementing anti-defection law, it is still continuing. Every year you will have anti-defection cases. That means what? It is ineffective. Those points you can generate. When I am telling, if in case you could not get too much of content to fill, if it's a 15 marker, generate a dimension. Sir, they have not asked it, doesn't matter, you can generate. Understood? Because or else you can't make your answer holistic. Got it? Yeah, so fine. Now, okay, is there any other question after that? Oh, there is one other question. This one, sedition, which at least from the last 4 or 5 years I am telling sedition question will be there this year. They have not touched the question itself, because last 1 or 2 years back Supreme Court told that no new sedition cases should be, all of those things, but still you don't have a question. Now this year replaced by what? Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. In that you don't have sedition, you have this. Look at the question. That will come to that, but before that we'll write other questions. So you don't have sedition, it is sedition is what in IPC? Section 124A. Now you don't have that. More or less equivalent to that is section 150, but they have not used the term what? Sedition. More or less, but the provision is same. They have told, if you can recall sedition, what the sedition was? Section 124 used to say that any kind of expression which creates disaffection against the legitimately elected government will be considered as a crime, punishable up to 3 years of imprisonment or directly life imprisonment, nothing in between. Now what 150 says, they are not using the term sedition, they are considering it as what? That any kind of expression which is affecting or which may affect India's sovereignty, unity, integrity, which may encourage secessionism, whatever, so many words they have used, anything will be considered as a crime up to 7 years imprisonment or life imprisonment. That means what a lot of critics are saying is that at least sedition was much better provision because this is more broader. Anybody can be arrested in this. Understood? So hence, on that context, the question has been framed. It is more or less like sedition only, but we'll use the arguments. Before that, what we'll finish off? I think this is the last under the topic. Before this, let's finish up with the heading constitutionalism and natural justice. Both will finish off. Then we'll come to sedition. If we do this, then that means overall the first broader topic, which is a very broad topic actually. So imagine fundamental rights, DPSP, duties, preamble, amendment of constitution, union territories, all of them together we have discussed. Constitutionalism. First tell the basic definition, or you can put it as different words, or constitutional state. Both mean the same. If they use the term constitutional state, don't get confused, it is still the same. Constitutionalism or constitutional state. Fine. First write the basics, your prelims kind of definitions. What does it refer to? It refers to limited government. It refers to limited government or limited powers, whatever. It refers to limited government. Fine. What is necessary? Written constitution is, keep writing in points, written constitution is necessary, not sufficient. Written constitution is necessary but not sufficient. Necessary but not sufficient. Fine. Example, UK does not have a written constitution, but constitutionalism exists. UK does not have written constitution, but constitutionalism exists. But constitutionalism exists. Reverse. Germany under Hitler, reverse the point, that's it. Germany under Hitler. UK does not have a written constitution, but constitutionalism exists. Germany under Hitler, written constitution was there, but no constitutionalism. No constitutionalism. Fine. Then, broader point, what do you have to write? Various provisions, whatever. You can put a subheading. Provisions of constitutional provisions which support constitutionalism. Constitutional provisions which support constitutionalism. So, whichever you link it to, limited power, you just add it. Constitutional provisions which support constitutionalism. Under the first, write a linking sentence. It is linked to the concept of separation of power, checks and balances, and accountability. It is linked to the concepts of SOP, separation of power, checks and balances, and accountability. And accountability. Right? Now bring those articles. When you say constitutional provisions, you have to bring the articles. First, Article 5050, which you know obviously. Article 50, separation of executive from judiciary. Separation of executive from judiciary. Separation of executive from judiciary. Article 50. Fine. B, Article 75, Clause 3. Which is what? COM, collectively responsible to House of People. Council of Ministers collectively responsible to the House of People. Fine. Then next one, you can say, linked to that actually collective responsibility, tools like question hour, 0 hour, NCM, tools like question hour, 0 hour, NCM, no confidence motion, makes executive accountable to legislature. So it's an extension of your 75 clause 3. Makes the executive accountable to legislature. Fine, that is 75 clause 3. Then next one, Article 13. Article 13, doctrine of severability, judicial review. Article 13, doctrine of severability and judicial review. 32 to 26, enforcement of rights. 32 to 26, enforcement of rights. Then federalism itself, federalism which is part of basic structure, division of power. So it is not concentrating power with center. Federalism. Then which is what? Freedom of press, which is part of freedom of expression, 19 clause 1 subclause A, watchdog of democracy. Freedom of press, which is part of 19 clause 1 subclause A. Part of 19 clause 1 subclause A. Fine. So like that, various provisions. Election concept. Free and fair elections, independent election commission. Yeah, rule of law, article 14. Free and fair elections, independent election commission. Free and fair election means link it to 326. Independent election commission means link it to 324. Then constitutionally guaranteed judicial independence, article 124. Constitutionally guaranteed. So that itself is a judiciary question. Constitutionally guaranteed judicial independence, article 124. Then triple chain of accountability. Triple chain of accountability. So this was last year's Supreme Court statement, triple chain of accountability. Just link that link. What do you mean by triple chain here? Bureaucracy, arrow mark, ministers, arrow mark, legislature, arrow mark, people. Bureaucracy accountable to ministers. Ministers accountable to whom? Legislature. Legislatures accountable to common man. Bureaucracy, ministers, legislature, common man. So it is triple chain of accountability. If you want judicial, Supreme Court cases, and then write that. In which cases Supreme Court referred to it. So if they can ask constitutional morality and relevant judicial decisions, extension. Why can't they ask constitutionalism and relevant judicial decisions? Rameshwar Prasad case. You can't write entire thing, I will sum up. Rameshwar Prasad case. Rameshwar Prasad case. Constitutionalism is the opposite of absolutism. Rameshwar Prasad case. Constitutionalism is the opposite of absolutism. Then IR Kohlo case. IR Kohlo case. Constitutionalism is the foundation of democratic governance. Constitutionalism is the foundation of democratic governance. Then challenges to constitutionalism. Challenges to constitutionalism. First, political parties are not under RTI. Political parties are not under RTI. Are not under RTI. 2. Judicial overreach. Judicial overreach using basic structure doctrine and doctrine of essentiality. Judicial overreach using basic structure, doctrine of basic structure and essentiality. Fine, then conflict between legislature and judiciary for supremacy. Conflict between legislature and judiciary for supremacy. Legislature and judiciary for supremacy. Then politicization of civil service and police. Politicization of civil service and police. NN Vora committee describes it as politicization of civil service and police. NN Vora, VOHRA. NN Vora committee describes it as unholy nexus between. NN Vora committee describes it as unholy nexus between politicians, criminals and police. Neta Babu Lalla, unholy nexus between politicians, criminals and police. Fine. In fact, the same words they had used, if you can, because you can use that. Neta Babu Lalla. It's a Government of India committee, so you can anytime use it. Neta Babu Lalla. Right? Okay. So those are all challenges angle. Then directly let's finish this off with heading principles of natural justice. Again, from a mains angle. Principles of natural justice. So see, these are all 4 or 5 topics. You can make it as one group. What are those? Doctrine of essentiality, doctrine of basic structure, doctrine of constitutional morality, constitutionalism, natural justice. All 5 are based on same theme. So any which way they can ask a question. Principles of natural justice. First is what? Nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. Nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. But what is it? It is the core. It is the core of due process of law. It is the foundation of due process of law. It is nowhere mentioned in the Constitution. It is the foundation of due process of law. Due process of law and any judicial system, including Indian. It is a foundation of due process of law and judicial systems. Fine. 3 components. You have 3 components under natural, PONJ, 3 components of PONJ. First is what? Right to be heard. Right to be heard. Right to be heard. Means what? Nobody can be punished. That is, nobody can be punished without hearing their side of the story. Right to be heard. No one can be punished without hearing their side of the story. Without hearing their side of the story. That's why what government does? Hence, government provides free legal aid to the accused. Hence, government provides free legal aid to the people, to the accused also. Government provides free legal aid to the accused. Fine, that is first component. Second component is what? No one can be judge of his or her own case. No one can be judge of his or her own case. No one can be judge of his or her own case. Obviously, why is this? This is to prevent conflict of interest. This is to prevent conflict of interest. Simple examples. Who will not even preside? I told you that. Example, yes, a speaker cannot preside the house during his removal. Example, speaker cannot preside the house during his removal. Cannot preside the house during his removal. If you want other example, recusal of judges. Recusal of judges related to the cases, related to, from the cases related to them. Recusal of judges from cases related to them. Recusal of judges from the cases related to them. For that, what is the point? Justice H.R. Khanna recusal. Remember that, you can't describe everything that his daughter, this, that, everything. Point is, Justice H.R. Khanna recused himself. That's a classic example we give, but there are so many other examples. 3 is what? Right to fair trial. Right to fair trial. Right to fair trial. What does that mean? Accused is considered as innocent until proven guilty. Accused is considered as innocent until proven guilty. Until proven guilty. And of course, extension of this is what? Everybody is equal in the eyes of law. It's like equal protection of law, equality before law. Everybody is equal in the eyes of law. Everybody is equal in the eyes of law. Clear? So those are all the points. Then what is this? Proportionality. Doctrine of proportionality. Doctrine of proportionality. Punishment is proportional to, or punishment should be proportional to the nature of the crime. Punishment should be proportional to nature of the crime. That is one angle. Punishment proportional to the nature of the crime. Simple example is what? Example, death penalty only in, which one? Rarest of rare crimes. Penalties or punishment is proportional to the nature of the crime. Simple example is death penalty only in rarest of the rare crime. Only in the rarest of rare crime. Fine. B. Next one is what? Which one? Other angle is privacy should be compromised. Privacy should be compromised. Privacy should be compromised. Proportional to. Privacy should be compromised. Proportional to which one? The goal intended to be achieved. Compromising the privacy should be proportional to the goal intended to be achieved. Goal intended to be achieved. Example, Supreme Court upheld Aadhaar. Supreme Court upheld Aadhaar as whatever those, remember, fingerprints, iris, everything, as privacy related data, or even though whatever, Supreme Court upheld Aadhaar as privacy related data was necessary for implementation of programs. Aadhaar enabled transfer payment systems, as the privacy data or related data was necessary for the implementation of the programs. Extension of that as a substantiation you do according to Cabinet Secretariat. At that point you are extending, you are substantiating better. According to Cabinet Secretariat, DBT saves. DBT is entirely built on what? Aadhaar. Direct benefit transfer saves 2 lakh crore for government every year. So this is an official data, Cabinet Secretariat. DBT saves around 2 lakh crore for Government of India every year. Fine, that's one way. Recently, Patna High Court upheld Bihar caste census. recently Patna High Court upheld Bihar caste census. Bihar caste census. What grounds? As caste related data was necessary. Recently Patna High Court upheld Bihar caste census because caste data was necessary to identify deprivation of caste. Caste data was necessary to identify the deprivation of caste and hence for the future welfare programs. To identify the deprivation of the caste and hence the future welfare programs. And hence the future welfare programs. Clear? Yeah, this is those 5 topics. Remember, as I told the group, that group you remember, basic structure, morality, essentiality, constitutionalism, natural justice. All of that is 5 based on same theme. So based on the PYQ, we are identifying probable questions, this one. Sedition is left out, that is, we'll do it. And we'll continue with which one? Comparison we'll do later because comparison is a very small topic. Normally, if you have seen comparison of constitution, they'll compare what? India with US, UK, France. So you need not study any other country. Lesser should I study India, Russia, India, South Africa, India, China? Nobody will ask you that. India, US, India, UK, India, France. They are still pending topics. I'll tell you that. I mean, under the comparison, what all probable questions are there. But we'll first start with which one? Legislature, executive, judiciary. Then or federalism. We'll see. First, let's start with legislature. That we'll meet in the evening.